Hey everyone, this video is going to be my annual update video showing you guys my entire collection of Disney and Pixar physical media, 4K Blu-Rays, and one DVD. And this is my 2021 update that I'm filming here in early April 2021. This pile here is the steelbooks, this pile here is the 4Ks, and this pile here is the 3D Blu-Rays and regular Blu-Rays, and then of course one DVD. So, without any further introduction, let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to show you guys in this collection is my steelbooks. And in previous videos, I didn't have a steelbook collection, so this is completely new for this year. And so the question you guys might be asking is, why did you pick up the steelbooks when you have all of the regular releases? And it's not a very good reason, but I just wanted to collect them. And I'm collecting them specifically as all sealed copies, so I'm not opening any of these up. I'm just collecting them strictly for collector's purposes, just because I like the variations, and I thought it might just be fun to have all the steelbooks for the sake of collecting. And I'm not sure if, you know, I'm kind of hoping that these might become worth a little bit more money than, you know, I paid for them someday, just because, you know, they're kind of collectible steelbooks that you can only get at Best Buy and that sort of thing. But if they're not, that's okay. It's just fun to kind of collect them. And so that's why I have these. So these steelbook releases are kind of interesting, and they are only sold at Best Buy. And, you know, it's kind of interesting how they do each of these releases whenever you get a new Disney and Pixar movie that's released in stores. So you get usually a standard 4K release copy along with a Blu-ray copy, and I think also a DVD only copy. I'm not sure if they still do that anymore. But usually they have just a standard release of the 4K release, standard release of the Blu-ray release, and maybe a DVD release. That's kind of sold everywhere, but there are some exclusive versions that are sold at Best Buy and then also Target. I'm not sure if there are any other ones, but Best Buy has the steelbooks, and then Target has, like, I guess what you could call like a digibook or something like that. So I'm not really too into the Target digibooks. I haven't been collecting those, but I do think the Best Buy steelbooks are pretty cool. You know, they got some really cool artwork on them and things like that. In general, I'm not really a steelbook fan as far as having steelbooks in my collection as, like, you know, my only copy of something. I just don't like them because you know, once you open these things up, it's really easy to kind of, you know, when you get shelf wear on these, when you're kind of, you know, putting these in and out on your shelf, it's just easy to get wear on them. So I just haven't been a fan of them for that reason, and also because they're just a little bit thicker than your standard releases as far as thickness wise, and I always like, you know, slimmer packaging overall. And the other thing I don't really like about them is these the sleeves that they kind of have around them. So I guess I'll show you, like, for example, Toy Story here. They got these little sleeves, and of course, me being the collector I am, I have to have everything, you know. And so if I were to open this, you'd kind of have this this sleeve kind of just flopping around. I don't really like that too much. I just really prefer the standard copies, you know, for the copies that I'm going to watch. But like I said, I wanted to get these steelbooks sealed just for collector's purposes. So the two that I have here are standard Blu-ray steelbook releases. There are 3 titles, and it's really weird, only 3 titles of the Disney and Pixar movies that have not been released in 4K on a steelbook format at Best Buy. It's kind of weird. Those titles are Cars 3, Coco, and then The Incredibles. So I have 2 of the 3. I don't know if I'm going to get The Incredibles. The reason why is I never bought it when it was in the store, and for whatever reason, and I don't know why, it is selling for absolutely outrageous prices on eBay and anywhere that you can find it. The Incredibles steelbook, it's like, I think it's like $250 or something going for on eBay, and people are actually buying it for that. That's not just like people listing it for that. It's actually selling for that. So I have no intention to pay that much for a copy of that, so I don't know if I'll ever get that. It technically would complete my collection, but, you know, I think I'm good enough with just saying that I have the complete collection of 4K Disney Pixar releases that were released, and there's just 3 that they never released on 4K. I did pick these up from eBay, and if I can get a hold of The Incredibles somehow, then that would be cool. It would kind of round off the collection, but if I don't ever get it, I'm not too disappointed, I guess. But these are the standard releases, standard Blu-ray releases on steelbook, I should say. Here is Cars 3, and here is the back. And then we have Coco, and this one, unfortunately, the packaging, yeah, the way that they did the packaging is a little weird. It's got just a piece of this paper sleeve kind of sticking out, unfortunately. That's just how I got it, ordered from eBay, so not too much I can do about that. And of course the reason I bought these on eBay is because I didn't start collecting these steelbooks until, you know, well after these were released, so they were taken off the store shelves in Best Buy, and so eBay was the only place to really get them at the point that I started collecting. So that's that. But here is the front cover of Coco, and I really like this artwork here. And like I said, again, that's another reason why I kind of wanted to collect these steelbooks, is just because of the artwork variations. I think they're pretty neat, especially for when we get into the 4Ks here. So that's where we'll go next. And I have these mostly, I think, in order of these movies' releases, but they're probably a little out of order, I'm not sure. But here's the first one, Toy Story on 4K. And you can kind of see what we have inside here. Each of these do have some internal artwork, and then you get the discs, which are just the standard Blu-ray and 4K disc releases. So like I said, I'm not going to open this up to show you guys, unfortunately, but it does have these little thumbnails here to kind of show you what's inside. But this is the artwork that they have on these, which is kind of cool. They did like kind of like a 2D animation style for these, which is something a little bit different. They do all have this kind of boring, bland, single-colored background, but they look cool overall, even with that. So, and they're just very unique. So that's another reason why I just wanted to collect these. They're kind of cool. So here is Toy Story. And then here's a look at the back. And then on the back, they kind of have that kind of the same style artwork as just the regular release. Just for comparison, you can see that the back is pretty much the same as the regular 4K release. So that's what they did with that. Then next up, we've got A Bug's Life. This is pretty cool artwork as well. And next up, we've got one of my favorite movies, Toy Story 2. And again, there is that interesting kind of 2D animation style artwork there, which is certainly very unique. And next up, another one of my absolute favorites, Monsters, Inc. And here we go with yet another classic, Finding Nemo. And next up is Cars. And the next one we've got is Ratatouille. And the next one here, and this is probably my favorite artwork of all of these steelbooks. This is WALL-E. Really like the space theme that they did with this one. And not just a kind of a plain background. They actually did a little bit of the space thing, which is pretty sweet. And as far as, movies go, this is one of my favorites as well. And the next one here is pretty interesting as well. This is Up, and unfortunately the sleeve is kind of covering some of the front artwork here, but you get the idea. And next up is Cars 2. And next up we've got Toy Story 3. And next up we've got Brave, and this is kind of the start of a lot of the films that I no longer have any of that old-time nostalgia for, since they were kind of starting to come out when, you know, I was no longer a kid. So, but still, obviously, nice to have these all in the collection. Next up is Monsters University. And the next one is Inside Out. Next up is The Good Dinosaur. And next up we've got Finding Dory. Next up is The Incredibles 2, and again this is kind of an interesting thing that they do have The Incredibles 2 on 4K, but not the first one. So, and obviously they released I think they released the first Incredibles at a different time than Incredibles 2, so I guess that kind of makes sense, but still would be nice to have the first one on a steelbook, of course, along with Coco and Cars 3. And next up we've got Toy Story 4. And the next one we have here is Onward. And last but not least is Soul. Alright, so now that I've shown you guys the steelbooks, we're going to go through the entire 4K collection of just the standard releases here. So we're going to start off with Toy Story. And I will show you guys what is inside each of these here. So this one is a 2-disc set. Or is it 3? Nope, it's just 2. And next up is A Bug's Life. And I actually do like the artwork on this one quite a bit. I know my previous Blu-ray only release of A Bug's Life, I didn't care too much for the artwork, but this is, I like this quite a bit. And this one is just a 2-disc set, I believe, as well. Next up we've got Toy Story 2. And next up is Monsters, Inc. Or I suppose maybe it's more official to call it Monsters Incorporated, I'm not sure. But in any case, here it is. And this one I believe is a 3-disc set. So there's the 4K, and then behind here we have the Blu-ray with bonus features. Really nice artwork on all of these. Next is The Incredibles, and I like the artwork on this one too. It's very nice and shiny, so that's pretty cool. And you guys will have to hear ignore some of the background noise. I am doing this video in a basement, so you'll probably hear background noises from a furnace going off at some points here, so try to just bear with that, I guess. But this set is a 3-disc set, and there are the discs included. Next up is Finding Nemo. I believe this one is also a 3-disc set. There's the 4K. Bonus features. And next up we've got Cars. And this one I'll have to say I'm not too particularly fond of the artwork on it, I guess, but it's not too bad. And that's just my personal preference, I guess. Here's the discs inside. And next up we have Up. And this one is also a 3-disc set. And next one we have is Ratatouille. And this one's just a 2-disc set. Next one we have here is WALL-E. Next up we've got Cars 2. Next up is Toy Story 3. Next up is Brave. Next we've got Monsters University. Next up is Inside Out. Next up we have The Good Dinosaur. This one's just a 2-disc set. And next up we've got Finding Dory. And next up we've got Cars 3. And I do like how shiny this slipcover is. And next up is Incredibles 2. And I like this slipcover because it's shiny and also it has a lot of things going on, which is pretty fun. Next up we've got Coco, another really nice shiny slipcover here. And next up we've got Toy Story 4, and in my opinion this one kind of sort of wins as one of the prettiest looking slipcovers that I think I have, at least just in my opinion. Just very nice and colorful and shiny overall, so I like this one quite a bit. And next up we have Onward, and this is the odd one out in my collection of standard cases. And the reason why that I have this Target exclusive digibook, or however you want to call this, I guess you could call it a gallery book like it says on there. The reason I have this version is because the standard release of this, which is basically just this, did not come with a slipcover. Now this came out in either March or April, I think, of 2020, and we all know what was going on at that time. So there were, I'm pretty sure that had a role in why this one didn't get a slipcover with just the standalone release. So literally, if you walked into the store and bought this on release day and you wanted the standard version, this is exactly what you'd get without a slipcover. So I did buy the Target exclusive version because it did come with a slipcover. It does look a little bit odd on the shelf next to the other ones, unfortunately, but at least I, kind of have a slipcover for that one. But here is what the standard release looks like, and in this case I have the bonus Blu-ray disc sitting on top of the, let's see, so here's the feature of the standard Blu-ray. So on the left side is where the 4K is for this one. And then I'll show you the Target exclusive artwork for this one here as well. And it is pretty cool. It looks a little bit different compared to the other slipcovers, obviously. You can just kind of tell how it's a little bit different there. So this does have a little bit of sticky tape on the front here, but it just kind of comes loose. And again, I don't really care too much for some of these special editions for my main collection, and this is kind of the one reason why. Just this J sleeve, I think they call it, it's just kind of floating around, and it's I just don't really prefer that. I just prefer kind of the standard release. But anyways, here is the slipcover for this, and then you can open this up, which it does have some really cool artwork, and this has this exclusive book, which is pretty cool. Not something that I really personally need to have, but just as an extra, or something especially for the diehard fans, I guess you could say. I guess I'm technically a diehard fan, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but, for people who are really into these Target versions, this is a pretty cool thing to have. Just not something that I personally like to collect, so. But anyway, there it is. It is pretty cool. And last but not least is Soul. So next we will go into my 3D collection, and essentially I'll do a little explanation here about why I have the versions that I do, and essentially I collect the the latest and greatest release of each of these movies, and that would be the 4K version of all of these, which is why I have all of them on 4K. But I still do have a lot of these 3D releases, and they never did anything like a combo pack of 4K and 3D or anything, because obviously the 3D was something that was popular for a while, and then the fad kind of just faded away. So they're no longer releasing any 3D releases, and they didn't release all of the Disney Pixar movies in 3D, but they did release quite a few of them, and I actually really like the 3D. I think it's a pretty cool effect. I know it was really gimmicky, and it's something where you kind of have to actually put forth a little bit of effort when you're watching it. With the glass, you have to put on the special glasses and all that stuff, and you have to kind of sit a certain way to make sure you're viewing the screen correctly and that sort of thing. So it is a little bit of a effort when you're watching TV. You just want to be lazy. So I think that's why that whole fad just kind of faded away. But really, it's a pretty cool effect, the 3D, in my opinion. So I'm keeping all of these, not getting rid of them, and they're pretty cool releases, these 3D Blu-rays. So a lot of these here they include the Blu-ray 3D, standard Blu-ray, and then also DVD, and then a digital copy. And a lot of these have digital copy as a disc, because these are some very early releases that included a digital copy like that. So here we go, starting off with Toy Story, and this is really cool artwork because it's the original kind of style artwork, and these have these really neat lenticular slipcovers. And these have kind of better flipper cases than the 4K sets have now, but here they are. And next up we've got Toy Story 2. And by the way, these have some ridiculously priced tags here, $49.99. That is not the price I paid, although I don't remember how much I actually paid for it, but definitely not $49.99. And next up we've got Monsters, Inc. And some of these sets, you can see absolutely how crazy some of these were. This is an actual 5-disc set for one movie, so that's something pretty interesting that they did back in the day. And next up we've got Finding Nemo. And next up we've got Cars. And next we have Up. And next we have Cars 2. And next we have Toy Story 3. And next up we have Brave. And next up, Monsters University. And next up we have Inside Out. And next we have The Good Dinosaur. And last but not least, for the 3D, Finding Dory. And this one I like a lot just because it has this really nice blue theme, and blue is my favorite color. Next up we go into more of the short film type releases, and there are 5 titles that I have of that. So we will start off with the Cars Toon Mater's Tall Tales, which is an interesting little release. And next up we go into 3 of my favorite releases, really of all these Pixar releases, are the Pixar short films. This one is Volume 1. I always really liked these Pixar short films. They're just, you know, they're entertaining, they're funny, and I really like that they, you know, compiled these into these, you know, these releases so that you can kind of just watch them one after the other. So I think this is a really cool this is a cool thing that they did, and I don't know that they're going to be, you know, making any more of these. There are 3 volumes, and of course they do continue to make new shorts as they make new movies, but I don't know, you know, with you know, Disney Plus and all the streaming basically taking over, I'm not sure that there will be, for example, a Pixar Short Films Volume 4, but fingers crossed, I guess. But here is Volume 1. And here is the Short Films Collection, Volume 2. And next we've got the Pixar Short Films Collection, Volume 3. And next, the last 2 Blu-rays, we have a couple of these interesting Toy Story holiday shorts. This one is Toy Story of Terror, Halloween short. And these are kind of interesting releases just because they are just single disc releases. And the last one here is Toy Story That Time Forgot, which I think you can kind of say is a Christmas release. You can't really tell any of that by the front cover here, or you could just say that it kind of takes place around Christmas anyways. You can see that by the Christmas lights here. And then finally we end with the one Disney Pixar DVD that I have in this collection, and that is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Begins. This has never seen a Blu-ray release or anything, and to my knowledge this is the only Disney Pixar release that's out there that is, you know, DVD and VHS. There's no Blu-ray release or anything, so yeah, this is my one Disney Pixar DVD release, and it's pretty cool. It's nice and shiny, and this is one of those things where it'd be nice if it came out on Blu-ray, and same with the complete series of this show. It'd be cool to have that on DVD or Blu-ray or some sort of physical media, but that's a rant for another video. But here is the artwork on this. It's just a single disc inside, and it does come with a nice insert here. Alright folks, so that basically wraps up my 2021 update of my entire Disney and Pixar physical media collection, I guess you could say. Blu-rays, 4K, and one DVD, as you can see right there. Lots of new things this year, and so we'll see what happens next year. Next year, I'm not anticipating that this video will be too much different, but I know that people always like these kind of update videos, so I might make this you know, somewhat of an annual thing. We'll see. But yeah, anyways, here's my 2021 update of my Disney Pixar collection. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next video.